bitch. Is that better? Is bitch better? Is bitch better? Is bitch better?
Hey, bitches. Welcome back to another episode of Bitches Better Love Island Edition. I'm your host, Raven, and I want to remind you to check out Black After Sun on YouTube. I'll link it in the show notes. But it's every week, me and Kaya of Bravo We're Black talk about the week in Love Island, USA and UK. And yesterday we had Kendrick on, so it was a lot of fun. So check that out. And also, I want to say, if you skipped the official Love Island USA After Sun with Sierra and Teffy, you got to go back and watch it. You got to go back and watch it. It's nothing like what it's been in the past. They show the Islanders right after they get dumped, when they give them their phones back and they're like going through their messages, their Instagrams. They make some calls home. And then Sierra and Teffy just like talk to each other and they let them loose over there. Okay. Because a lot was said that would never have been said in the past. And that's what I'll say about that. And then they brought Sean on and talked to him alone. They did the same for Bea, and then they had them up there together. And it was just really fun, like good vibes, good conversation, good questions, just really good. None of that like corny, scripted, like stupid shit that they used to do on there. But I will say, as always, UK After Sun reigns supreme. And you know what? It's not even a fair comparison. So I don't know why I said that. But yeah, go watch both After Suns, the black one and the official one. All right, let's get into episode 11. So everyone's crying because Bea was just dumped. And then we see Jen for the longest we've seen her yet because she's talking to Gabe and, he's sad and he's like, oh, me and Bea just had like a really strong connection, blah, blah, blah. So I just need a minute. He needs a minute, he says. So just keep that in mind for a little bit later, right? So Kenzie and Caleb chat, and she says it makes sense that America put them together because she was saying that she wanted a cowboy that talks like her and knows the places she knows. I said, what? So to me, I translated that as a white man, specifically a Southern one, because I don't know what that means. Talks like her, knows the places she knows. They're not from the same place. Whatever. So she said that she feels like she has more in common with Caleb than she does with Corbin, but her only hang up with Caleb, Jesus, Caleb Corbin. Her only hang up with Caleb is that he's younger and she's never dated a younger guy. He's 21 and she's 24. So that's a yellow flag for her, she says. Okay, girl. So then they talk about going out, and Caleb does line dancing and swing dancing, and Kenzie seems very excited about it. So that's great. And, she's still talking about how hard it is to juggle two guys. Girl, shut up. No, it's not. Actually, it's actually not. Oh, but anyway. Then Soul and Sincere chat in Soul Ties, which is their spot now. Okay. So Sincere is happy and excited to be in a couple with her. That's what he says. All right. And she's like, oh, thank God there's like no more walking on eggshells. And I said, oh, sweet soul, you will still be walking on eggshells as long as Mel is lurking around this villa. Okay. But I'll let you have your night of thinking those days are over. And, of course, they make out. And then Sincere in the beach hut talks about Soul and how she just has this aura to her and this swag and this confidence and it's so attractive. And I'm telling you, he's literally in love with her. Like, listen to the way that he talks about her versus the way that he talks about Mel. He's never said no shit like that about Mel. And he's always talking about Soul like this, unless he's talking to Mel, then he downplays her. But we know that's all a lie. So speaking of Mel and Corbin go talk in the speakeasy, and Mel is just sick about this whole thing. She cannot believe it. Corbin feels like shit and that we put him in a shit position. Listen, I'm not gonna apologize. Okay. And I don't think he's in a shit position, aside from the fact that, Bea got sent home. So maybe that's the shit part that he's referring to. But aside from that, it's like you're still here. You should be happy. And that's basically what Mel says. Like, she doesn't think he's in a shit position either. She's like, everything is happening as it should. I'm not sure that she even believes that, but okay. And she's like, we've been giving each other the googly eyes. So now we're going to see what's here. Obviously, I still have feelings for Sincere, and I know you still have feelings for Kenzie. So there's that. And Corbin's like, yeah, your feelings are valid, but you can't be crashing out whenever you see them together, like holding hands and stuff. And she's like, oh no, I'm not going to do that. And I said, mm, we'll see, because history has shown otherwise. So Corbin says that he's always wanted to explore Mel, but he didn't know how. But here they are getting to know each other now. So we'll see how this goes. I mean, there could be something here if they both just like lock in on each other and don't get distracted by their past couples. Oh my God. And then Sincere's lying ass starts lying again while he's talking to Trinity and Anaya. He's like, I'm sad. I really wanted it to be Melanie. Why does he do this? Like, what's the point? What are you trying to do here? What's the end game? Do you know what I mean? Because you're so happy to be with Soul. So why would you say this when you could just say nothing at all? Do you know what I mean? Or you could just be like, oh, like I'm just really, my head's spinning right now or something. Like I can't believe that happened. Something, but you're just outright lying and it's stupid. Ugh. So then we finally get to see Melanie and Soul speak to each other in the dressing room. And Melanie's like, I'm just glad to be cool with you now. And Soul's like, yeah, I never wanted beef with you. It was just like a lot of tension. And then Melanie starts trying to cry. Really, she's doing that whining thing about how much she likes Sincere. And Soul is just like, yeah, it's just a shitty situation. So then the fake tears dry up immediately, right? And Mel's like, hey, so when y'all were talking today, did you kiss? And Soul's like, yeah. And Melanie's like, noted. And she just starts crying again, for real this time. So now she's plotting her revenge. Step one, sleeping in soul ties instead of the bedroom with everyone else, because that always gets attention. And Melanie loves that, right? Also, she'll be able to cry to Sincere about how she couldn't even sleep in the bed with Corbin because she was just thinking about him and she just sick about them being separated. Watch. So then Zach and Kata are talking in bed, and I'm assuming at this point that they've had sex. Like, I don't know if they did that night or if it was previously, but Zach is like, okay, so we've done shit. So what happens if someone comes in here? Then I'm fucked. And Kata's like, well, I'll never say never, but like, I don't see that happening for me. And he's like, yeah, it's just why you don't want to like do too much? And I was like, what? So is he saying he doesn't want to take it too far because she might turn her head and that he's going to look stupid? Because it could just as easily go the other way. And if that's how you feel, why not have this talk before doing whatever it is that y'all did? You know what I mean? And then Jen and Gabe were making out ferociously in bed. And I just wanted to note that because remember earlier he was like, I just need a minute because I'm sad. So I guess he's over that now. Shocker. So the next morning, Melanie wakes up disgusted with Sincere because she's finally accepting the fact that he's a liar. She's like, he'll tell me something and then he'll do the opposite. I said, yeah, now you're getting it. If only you'd had a conversation with Soul earlier, you would have known this for certain much sooner because she definitely had an idea, right? Like she just was in denial. She didn't want to believe it. So she's like, if you have a connection with her, just say it. I'm like, yes, yes, I've been screaming this. And again, I don't know how he thought he could get away with this. And she's like, his name does not fit him. He is not Sincere. And I said, true. It's actually wild for that to be his name. And he's the exact opposite of it. And he doesn't have to be. That's the thing. Like he's choosing to be this way. It's really stupid. So then Casey talks to Corbin. And he's like, I know Melanie's sad or whatever, but she slept in soul ties for attention. And I said, "Exactly, Casey. Exactly. The girl loves attention. She needs it. She thrives on it. Attention and chaos, actually." And Casey is like, Sincere gives a little bit of a fuck, but he don't really give a fuck. And I said, "Clock it." And then they cut to Sincere talking about how great he slept last night. He's happy as a clam. But as soon as he gets around Mel, I bet you he will pretend to be sad. Like, I just know it. And then I was actually proven wrong because when he brought Soul her breakfast, he and Melanie just walked right past each other without a word. I said, "Oh, okay. Well, maybe later when they had their chat, right? Surely then." So then Bryce and Trinity chat, and Trinity is like, "Sincere is a fucking liar." I said, "Yes, yes, everybody's seeing it now." She was like, "He told me last night that he didn't want to be with Soul." And Bryce is like, I think he doesn't understand how to show what he's doing." What? What does that mean? How to show what he's doing? He understands exactly what he's doing. He's lying and he's doing it on purpose. The end. So Bryce says it's the best situation because Mel gets something fresh and Sincere gets to see if there's something with Soul. There is something with Soul. He already knows this. And then Bryce is like, "Oh, me and Trinity are growing. We're doing great." Ugh, whatever. So then Melanie and Anaya chat, and Mel says that her chat with Corbin was good and he's honest with her. And that she hasn't talked to Kenzie about it yet, but she plans to. And I said, "We'll see," because the last time she planned to chat with Kenzie about Corbin, it didn't actually happen because she was too busy crashing out about Sincere. So we'll see if she follows through and doesn't get distracted this time. And Mel's still talking about Sincere. She's like, "His lying is like very spooky to me." And I said, "Yes, agreed." And now she's woken up feeling like she just wants to refresh. She wants calmness. And that's funny because she's not going to get that with Corbin, but I'm like, I'll let you have this new lease on life this morning. Like, I'm happy to see you're in a better mood and you're not just like in turmoil. So Casey talks to Soul and asks her about America's Choice and how she's feeling about it. And she's like, "I'm feeling good about it." She was like, "Sincere is the only one that was even open to getting to know me. So yeah." And she was like, "You were someone that I had my eye on too, actually." And he was like, "Yeah, it just would take a lot for me to turn my head." And she was like, "Yeah, I know. So that's the closed door that I'm talking about. Like, you're not open to it." And then he was like, "Okay, I'll be real with you. When you came in with the white lingerie and the red handprints on your ass cheeks, I was highly interested, very interested, and everyone knew it, but I didn't show my hand." Except he kind of did when Ariana was like, "How are y'all feeling about the bombshells?" And he said, "Blessed." Never forget. And he was like, then Sincere was the only one shooting his shot with you. And every time I was going to pull you, he was there. And then I saw y'all just like vibing a lot. And I was like, "Oh, well, I give up," which is so whack, Casey. I'm sorry, but if you wanted to pull her, you should have. And that's no disrespect to Anaya at all. I love her. But if you're going to be on some scary shit like that, then you need to leave. You need to leave. That is so annoying to me. Like, you just presented her to Sincere on a platter and stayed with what you're comfortable with. And that is not what Love Island is about. And he's like, "I know you don't want to talk about yesterday with the pies, but I really did want to give you a hug." Like, okay. I thought he was gonna give her a hug right then, but then he didn't. It was very weird. So then Kenzie and Corbin chat about being split up, and he's like, "I'm shocked because it's not funny because we have an amazing connection." And she's like, "Yeah, it's hard because it's hard for me to give Caleb a chance because I'm really into you." And he was just like, "Yeah, I just want to like kiss and stuff. Can I get a kiss on the cheek? Can I kiss you on the cheek? Can I kiss you on the hand?" Like, oh my God. "Corbin, please, you have to stop this." So she said no to all of that. And then later on, she was like, "No kisses is crazy." And he was like, "What? You said no." And she was like, "Yeah, you were asking for a kiss on the cheek, though." So then they scurry up to Soul Ties and they start making out heavy. Okay. and Caleb realizes they're up there, and honestly, he seems like he doesn't give a shit, like, he's very calm about it. He's like, "Whatever happens, happens." And I said, "That's a great attitude to have, Caleb." I like that. So then Melanie and Kenzie chat, and Kenzie is like, "Ugh, I'm just like not doing well, you know." She has really strong feelings for Corbin, and then Mel is like, I'm choosing to have a better day today. That's why I couldn't sleep in there last night. Nobody asked you why you couldn't sleep in there last night. You see, whenever people do stuff for attention, like people notice. And if they don't ask you about it, which these people have not, right? They're just going to start talking about it because they're like, I need to bring attention to this. Like, my plan isn't working, and now I have to go to plan B. So she just brings up sleeping outside because she just wanted to. And she's like, I just couldn't lay next to Corbin knowing that you were there. And I couldn't lay there knowing Sincere and Soul were there together. Girl, please. Now you're lying like Sincere. You did not care about the Kenzie part of it. Be serious. You just didn't want to be in there with Sincere and Soul. So just say that. So then Kenzie's like, I don't want to get hurt. And Mella's like, I know you hate this, but I can't do anything like as far as getting to know Corbin and like moving forward until you give me the green flag. And she was like, yeah, it's fine. It's just gonna hurt. And it's like, okay, Kenzie, like, I don't know. I'm like tired of her whining. Is it just me? Like, you can't have them to yourselves. Like, you get to have two connections, but the guys can't have connections with other people. Like, it just doesn't work that way here, you know? So, yeah, Kenzie, then she's like, I need to focus on my connection with Caleb anyway. Correct. Go talk to that man. So then Kata and Zach talk, and Kata's like, you are stressing me out because of last night when you said we shouldn't do too much just in case someone comes in, because it makes me feel like you're waiting for someone else to come in. And he's like, no, I'm really happy with you, and I don't see my head turning. And I said, okay, so they haven't had sex, but they have probably done everything else. Glad we cleared that up. So then Jen and Gabe chat, and she is talking about like shark bites and stuff. Not particularly interesting, but I was like, at least we're seeing her now, question mark. But then I was like, this is why we weren't seeing her before. It's not interesting. I'm so sorry, Jen, but again, it's just ridiculous because she's a bombshell, but it's not giving that. You know what I mean? And I hate that. So after the shark conversation, Gabe is like, are you shy? And she's like, no, I don't care about PDA. And then he starts eating her face off. So he's just back at it like Bea never existed. And this is exactly what I expected from him. So that's fine. Casey and Anaya chat, and we find out that she hasn't had sex in a year, and he last had sex on his birthday, but we don't know when his birthday is, so that doesn't really help me know how long it's been, right? But he said before that, he went 7 months without sex, and so that's something that we know, but we didn't need to about them, right? So then they get a text that they're going to do a couples soccer challenge. Shout out to the World Cup because obviously that's what this is all about. So the host of this challenge is a soccer guy named Frederick, and he's the host of the the FIFA World Cup 2026 in Spanish and the United States and Puerto Rico on Telemundo and Peacock. So yes, they're really pushing the soccer agenda. Very heavy-handed, but it's fine. It's fun. So first up is Trinity and Bryce. So they have to get the soccer ball from their feet up to their mouths and then put it in a goal. And then they have to do this stupid thing to get a hot dog in their mouths. And then they have to go into a pool filled with slime and fill up a bowl with it. Stupid, then they have to answer a question. And I said, finally, it gets good. Because fun fact about me, I don't really care for these silly ass challenges. I don't. I don't want to see them going down slides and going through obstacle courses and all of that type of stuff. I'm like, just get to the messy questions. So their question is, which person is carrying their couple? And they have to dump the bowl of slime on the person that they think fits it. So they chose Caleb. Um, yeah, sure. And then after that, they have to get in the shower and make out. All right. Next up is Kenzie and Caleb. And their question is, which player is fumbling the ball? And they choose Gabe because they think he has Bea in the back of his mind, so he can't fully commit to what he's in now. Um, he wasn't fully committed to Bea. Like, I don't know. I think, like I said, Gabe is just here for a good time. Like, I don't think he really cares. So then Anaya and Casey, their question is, which player is secretly scouting other options? They choose Corbin. I said, good answer. Could have also been Gabe again. But good answer. We'll go with it. Melanie and Corbin are up next. Their question is, which player is the most overrated player? And they choose Sincere for the plot. Fair. Next question is for Kata and Zach. Which player is acting like they've already won the league? They choose KC because he's too comfortable and maybe didn't explore someone he definitely wanted to because he wanted to be safe in his couple. And Frederick, who has just been going along with whatever everyone's saying, like no follow-up questions really. He's like, what did you mean by I didn't explore someone? And I said, yes, it's Frederick. And Zach explains the thing about, how Casey wanted to talk to Soul when she came in, but he didn't because he didn't want the hassle, basically. And Anaya looked upset, of course, but she needed to hear that. Okay. This is information that she needs to know. So then Gabe and Jen are up next. And the question is, which player has been caught off sides the most? And they choose Sincere because he's been the sneakiest. Again, good answer. Good answer. So then Sol and Sincere are up, and their question is, which player is most likely to get booed by the fans? So they choose Bryce, and Sincere says it's because he's the villain here and loved at home or something like that. It made no sense. He was just saying shit as he does, and that was the end of the challenge. So not super messy. But I think something good did come out of it with Zach revealing that Casey wanted to talk to Soul but didn't. So after the challenge, Kata and Zach think that Anaya is mad at them because of that whole thing. And Bryce was like, well, you did kind of go in. And I said, no, you didn't. No, no, no. But they're thinking that Anaya took it as a dig at her. And I don't know why she would take it that way. This is clearly all about KC, but they're like, whatever, they have a good thing going and there's nothing bad or negative about their connection. Like they're good. So then Trinity was like, well, I would have put y'all if it was me because y'all got something good going on, which is honestly fair. Like when you think about it, they're in the same boat as Casey and Anaya when you really think about it. I think the only difference is no one has really come in for them to want to talk to for us to see like how they would act or how they would approach the situation. You know what I mean? And then Anaya and Casey talk, and they basically said the same thing. Like Casey was like, I could say the same about Zach and Kata. And then Anaya was like, okay, whatever about them. Do you feel restricted with like exploring Soul? And he was like, no, I just was nervous and like on the fence about talking to her. And I think that's what he was talking about. And I said, no, this isn't exactly what you said to Soul earlier. You said you definitely wanted to, and you didn't because she seemed like she was vibing with Sincere a lot and you let that deter you. You didn't decide, you just like weren't into her anymore. So she's like, do you have any regrets? Because I don't want it to be like, I'm limiting your experience. And he said, no, no regrets. I don't think I believe that though. So then Corbin and Melanie chat and they're talking about the challenge. And he's like, I wasn't sure about our chemistry, but that challenge really showed it to me. Like, we killed that shit. And he was like, I'm just sad I didn't get to fully experience the kiss in the shower because I was basically drowning. And I said, oh, brother, here he goes. He's going to ask for a kiss. But he didn't. I couldn't believe it. Instead, he told her about the kiss that he had with Kenzie earlier that day, and she was like, it's fine. Thank you for telling me. I said, what is this? Corbin is surprising me, and so is Melanie. What is going on? So then Kenzie and Caleb have a chat and they think that they did great in the challenge and they have good chemistry. And she was like, yeah, we work well together. So then Caleb was like, yeah, I just wanted to talk to you about setting some boundaries in our couple. Like when you're talking to Corbin, it's alarming that y'all are so physical. And she was like, yeah, I get it. And I'll try and like communicate that with you. I just still have a really strong connection with him. And we did kiss today. And I wanna keep talking to him, but I do like you. And then they started kissing, and I just I don't know what she's doing, but I think she enjoys having both of them even though she acts like she hates it. I just think whatever her and Corbin have is very physical, strictly physical and sexual, and she likes that a lot, and she doesn't wanna give that up, and then everything else that she gets from Caleb, she likes that too. So she's like, "I love this. I love having both of them, but I need to act like I don't. I'm so stressed." So then Trinity and Kata chat, and Trinity is like, "So what are we feeling about Jen and Gabe? Do you think they're going at like a calm pace, or do you think he's like kind of rushing into things?" And Kata was like, "I just feel like they don't match." And Trinity was like, "Exactly. I mean, yeah. What do you want them to do? Who else is Jen supposed to go with, and who else is Gabe supposed to go with right now? That's my question for them." So meanwhile, Gabe and Jen are chatting about the challenge. And then she's like, right now, would you be interested in anyone else? And he says, in the villa? No. So he's like, right this second, no, but that could change at the drop of the dime. Okay. Let some more bombshells walk in and then ask me again. And Jen is like, great. You're not physically my type, but you're kind and caring and whatever, and you, like, have all of these things that I look for in a person. And he's like, "Oh, so you think I'm ugly? Because I'm hearing you only like my personality." And she was like, "No, no, no, I think you're sexy." And I mean, not necessarily, Jen, because you didn't say that. You said he's literally not your type physically. So yeah. And then Trinity and Kata are like, damn, Bea just left. What would she think? And I don't think that she would be surprised in the slightest. Like, are we? No. Now, do I think that Jen and Gabe like each other? No. I actually think this is another Sean and Kenzie situation. Like they're just doing shit to pass the time. And then Mel pulls Corbin for a chat and she asks him about his background and his family, whatever. And then she tells him that she doesn't feel chaotic sitting next to him because earlier she said that she feels calm with him and it's just chaos with Sincere. And she's saying it a little bit too much. It's like she's conjuring up the chaos with Corbin, you know? I want her to just be in the moment and like stop naming it and like stop comparing it to Sincere. So then Corbin is like, I just want to focus on this couple with no distractions, and I need to figure out how to tell Kenzie. How do you feel about that? And Mel was like, death to love triangles, okay? I don't want to do that again. So that sounds great. And I said, oh, okay, we might really have something here. So then Anaya pulls Zach and Kata for a chat, and she tells them their explanation for the question and the challenge hurt her feelings because they were saying basically she was like the safe option. And Zach was like, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, but I did not say you're the safe option. It's just that Casey was like, yeah, I'm attracted to Soul, but why would I risk leaving what I have when it's good? That's all. And she's like, I'm just scared that he might be telling me one thing and saying another thing to the guys, which is fair, okay? Because look at what Sincere's doing, right? But Casey is not sincere. And Zach was just like, nope, he's never been like, oh, I want to explore something, but I'm just going to stick with Anaya. Like, whatever he's telling you is the truth about how he feels. And she just doesn't want him to feel like she's holding him back from exploring other people, but she does feel good about their connection. And oh my God, while they're talking, they're like, where is Casey now? And they see that he's talking to Soul. Damn it. Terrible timing. So when I was like, great, I'll just go fuck off then. And now Zach is feeling bad again. He's like, oh, I just should have just said something else, but I didn't want to lie. And he's kind of spiraling, because he just made Soul cry with his pie. And now, what the fuck am I saying? That sounds crazy. But that is what happened. He made Soul cry with the pie. And now Anaya's upset because of what he said. And it's not funny, but it kind of is because he's just like taking it very personally, and neither one of those girls is even thinking about him for real, you know? So KC pulls Soul for a chat. And he's like, how did you feel about the challenge? And they start off by talking about the hot dog thing. And I'm like, hey, get to the point. You did not pull her over here to talk about that damn hot dog. Come on. So then Soul is like, it just feels less tense now that we're all in couples and we're not just like the bombshells coming in to break up everyone's couples. Because she said she was feeling everyone's energy and it was stank basically, and that she wasn't going to dick ride anyone, to like try and get in there. And he was like, well, I didn't want to dick ride you either. And she was like, well, you're a guy, you should lead. And I'm sorry, but him, like, pulling her for a chat or something is not dick riding or anything close to it, all right? But that aside, the people that are in the villa should welcome the bombshells whether they're interested in them or not. That's just, like, the nice thing to do, and they were not doing that shit, period. So then he was like, it was the first time I was interested in someone else, but it's scary to leave something that's good. And Soul was like, it's not leaving. It's just exploring. It's just a conversation. So she's like, you're robbing yourself of knowing if we even have something by not shooting your shot at all. And I said, she's right. She's exactly right. So then Anaya walks over to interrupt their chat. And she's like, sorry to interrupt, Casey. Can we please go chat? And he was like, sure. And she's like, why the fuck are you cheesing so hard? What's with all the faces? And as we established early in the season, he does this. He makes faces and he laughs when he shouldn't. And it's very annoying and it would piss me off, but it's him, unfortunately. So they're walking off to talk and she won't hold his hand and he knows he's in for it, okay? And she was like, "I want to have a serious conversation right now and you're laughing and you're smiling and that's going to piss me off." So he wipes the smile off his face and she starts telling him about the conversation that she just had with Zach and Kada about the soul situation and how she doesn't want to feel like the safe option. And he was like, "You're confusing the safe option with the first option." And he's like, "If I really wanted to pursue her, I would have. Why would I go do some mystery shit when I'm happy with our situation?" And she's not buying it. And she's like, "Okay, conversation over." And I feel like Casey is getting tired of having to constantly reassure her. And I can't say that I blame him. It's one thing to like reassure your partner, but like it gets to a point where it has to be like a constant thing. I know I hate repeating myself and like again at a certain point it's like, okay, I can't like I don't really know what else you want from me, you know? But I will say like her feelings are valid right here because it's like, well, where the fuck is this coming from? This is the first I'm hearing of it. So that's weird. But it's like, this isn't the first time. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I love her. I just want her to ugh, send somebody in for Anaya. Send somebody else in for Anaya because I don't know what's about to happen. And I don't want her being left alone and possibly dumped. Okay. So then they get a text that the hideaway is open and they got to choose a couple to go in there. They choose Zach and Kada. And I said, oh, we'll see how long they hold off on the sex now. I bet Zach is going to be like, you know what? Forget about what I said last night. Just forget about it. Because Zach is out here yelling, I'm getting laid. And Kada is like, we're doing everything. I'm going to do the nastiest shit to him. And I said, okay, damn. And then Zach is like, I'm scared I'm going to arrive early to the occasion. And I said, okay, I don't need to know anymore. Thanks so much. Y'all have fun. I hope you have a great time in there. So everyone has choreographed a song and dance about Zach clapping those cheeks in the hideaway. And guess what? Kenzie is doing the splits again. Kenzie, why are you doing that? Do the choreography. You're a dancer. Why are you doing those fucking splits? Stop it. And that was it. So, y'all, I was wrong about Sincere and Melanie. I just knew they were going to be having a conversation this episode, but no, nothing. They just ignored each other. So, I guess they're just going to continue doing that, which is fine by me, to be honest. But I still think something might happen later. I don't know. But yeah, I was happy to see people other than them and some other shit going on. Great episode. Looks like tonight Corbin is going to talk to Kenzie, but from the looks of it, he's not cutting it off like he intended. So I don't think Mel's going to be happy about that, but we'll see. I will talk to y'all again tomorrow. Love you. Bye.
Bitch. Is that better? Is bitch better? Is bitch better? Is bitch better?